Hello and welcome to today's Just Chopsing Podcast. And today with David and myself, we have Santi Arribas, and he is not a racing driver or a football player. I'm guessing he's a mixer producer and guitar player. And we have Julian. Did you say it Casewell or Caswell, mate?
Casewell.
Casewell, yeah, okay. Julian Casewell, and he is from the King's Pistol, who are you a rock blues band or?
Yeah, that sort of thing. So like influenced by sort of 70s and 60s sort of that sort of music. So Cream and that sort of Air in the Doors and that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And you've got together for a project, I guess. You call it a project?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have a new single out called Little Babylon.
Correct. Sorry, I'm just adjusting my camera here.
I thought you were trying to make me seasick then. I was all over the place.
It wasn't on purpose.
Because I thought I'm on the telly now. So you've got a new track out called Little Babylon. I've listened to the track, actually. It's pretty good. And
Thank you.
We're actually going to include it on our radio show today, because this actually will come out on next. Oh, fucking hell, my continuity is still shit. Thursday.
Great.
Yeah.
But this
Don't tell anyone, but this will be going out next Thursday on the day of our radio show.
We're live, right? Okay.
Well, yeah.
Well, we're not live, but this is pre-recorded.
I know.
I don't want to edit this stuff out. But we will be going live on the radio.
Yeah, and your new single came out on the 14th of January.
It does come out tomorrow, yes.
God. Oh,
This is back to the Future gone wrong.
So what was the influence behind the song then, Sandy?
Well, well, the whole idea of the Roadside Bandits project is it's my little head mixing blues and electronic music, and I felt like doing a track that had a bit of a gospel feel to it, bluesy, rocky, dancey type of thing. That's something energetic. The album was very dark and mellow, and I thought, well, it's a bit more uplifting. And we last collaboration that Julian and I did was a track called Wasteland, which was the last single, and it was indeed dark and moody. Yeah. So for this one, I just came up with this arrangement. I handed it over to Julian, and then Julian did his magic, and we came up with something. I wanted it to have that sort of blues gospel vibe. That was the idea, but it is a social complaint, the track at the same time.
a social complaint against?
Well, it's about it talks about what's going on with our current government and how they've been reacting to the pandemic and things they've been doing, which are very current right now, while the rest of us were locking ourselves up at home and not being able to go anywhere, see our relatives sick or dying, etc., etc., etc. So the song talks about that. Really.
Okay, yeah. So it's a case of when in Rome, don't do what the Romans do.
Yeah, which actually the chorus of the song says, Rome burns. Well, Rome is burning, so yeah.
All right, cool. And what's your background then, Julian?
I've just been in bands for forever. I think is the basic thing. Yeah, I've just been in bands for a huge amount of time. I can't even remember when I met Santi, but I've obviously got my own band, and we release on vinyl and all that sort of stuff. And we got together on the first project, and it worked really well. And then I was happy when he said, "Do you want to do another one?" And I was like, "Yeah, mate, of course, yeah." And I suppose it's nice for me to in my other band, the lyrics are don't have that political or social edge. It's very 70s rock and roll type stuff, and it's nice to just talk about that other side of things, to have the opportunity to sing about some sort of different things. And sort of like, I'm from town of Crewe, which is quite a deprived, town, really. You know, gets a lot of flack online. You can go on, it comes to the top 10 crappiest towns in the world and all stuff like that. Well, you know, I'm from there. You know what I mean? So having that sort of outlook and knowing that actually it's none of the people's fault or anything like that. It's just been, you know, it's been sort of a forgotten sort of town. And then when you see all the stuff in the media and online and things that are happening around stuff, and you think, you know, we get this a massively bad rep when it's full of really hard-working, down-to-earth people and loads of other stuff that's happening that's, you know, pretty corrupt. It's pretty easy to, you know, to spew those lyrics out. The first one has got that sort of vibe to it as well, you know, because it was the first one where I'd written anything along those sort of lines. The lyrics just came really quickly. This one took a little bit longer, but it's nice to reflect, you know, on that sort of social situation when you see it every day. You know, I work in the town, my family's from the town. You know, when we're having some development now, but it's what I've seen when I go to a lot of places, it's boarded up shops, and, you know, everything's a vape shop or a charity shop. And when I was there as a kid, there was loads more sort of stuff there, and everything's taking a real sort of downturn, you know, like and it's not, you know, and then you see online people making smart ass videos about walking around the town showing how rubbish it is, when it's like, you know, we live here, you know, and we all work really hard, and this is just the way it is. This is the social situation that we live in. And then you compare that maybe to the people in Rome, and it doesn't really seem very fair.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah. Is there like a high crime rate in Crewe then?
I don't think so. I don't think it's a massive, there's a huge crime rate or anything like that. You know, it's not a huge crime rate sort of situation or anything like that. It's just, you know, the town, and we are getting some investment now because of HS2 and all this sort of bits and pieces, but whether that's for the town's benefit or people making money, who knows, you know, who knows, you know.
But don't you think that, I mean, to be honest, the way that the situation's developed over the last 2 years, there's a lot of shops closing down, you know.
Yeah.
And I think online purchasing is going to be the way forward, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
the same thing is happening in London. It's exactly the same thing. You get shops closing left, right, and centre here.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a nationwide thing, and it's not, you know, it's not only in Crewe.
Yeah.
But if it's been happening in Crewe for the last 30 years, for example,
yeah,
you know, then it's the future's not looking very bright, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't like you know, a thing that's just happened now or due to COVID or due to online. It's like a long-term. For me, it feels like a long-term neglect. You know, that's what it feels like of a place. I don't understand about the industry with all the railway, and, you know, we used to make Rolls Royces and now we make Bentleys and all that sort of thing. But there's a definite change that's happened. You know, and with Crewe being in the very affluent county of Cheshire, it maybe compounds it a little bit more. You know, but. You know, it's what you see. You're right about what you see, don't you? And you've got the world that you see outside your window, and you've got the world that you see on the TV of what's going on. And there's definitely a disparity between those two things.
Yeah. How's the football team doing?
I have no idea. I don't like football.
I don't either. I was trying to think what they were called.
I know that.
Crewe Alexander, is it?
Yeah.
That's a Scottish football team, isn't it?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I mean, but the football stadium just up the road from my house, so I really should know. My son's going to go crazy that I'm not. I didn't even know.
What's the music scene? Obviously, there's a massive music scene in London. You know, venues and things like that. What's the music scene up there? Have you got any live venues and stuff?
Well, we're really close, because really Crewe's considered a bit of a northern town, but it's really close to Stoke. So, you know, that's where more of the music scene is. You know, like a lot of our venues that we had, you know, your bigger venues, you know, when you've got in a town, you've got the venue, the key place that's not massive, but it's got a stage and a decent sound system ish, and you get bands playing all the time. They've all gone. So all the stages that I played as a kid are not there anymore. You know, we get good support when you go into, we play in pubs and that sort of thing. We have, you know, there are different things on, but it's nowhere near as vibrant as it used to be.
Yeah.
And what worries me is you know, we've got bands in Crewe. There's a few bands knocking around, and nowhere near as many as there were. But most of them are old guys like me, which is great, you know, that we get the opportunity to play. But, you know, particularly as I'm a teacher as well, where are the kids with guitars? I mean, I don't know whether that's a local thing or a national thing, that music has just changed into more of an electronic type of thing. But and because I teach as well, you don't really seem to even have a school band anymore knocking out song 2 by Blur or some Nirvana. Even those days seem to be gone.
Yeah. No, that's a shame, isn't it?
Yeah, absolute shame. Yeah.
You know.
So with the new single that's coming out, then are you guys looking to play it live anywhere? Are you looking to gig a little bit, or is it kind of like a release that you're just planning on?
Answer is don't know. The Bandits it's a studio project that I had lurking in my head for a number of years. About 3 years ago, I decided to go on, let's get this done. And I don't discard the possibility, but we're not treating this as a band. It's a collaborations album. Every person that plays in the record or has played in the last 2 singles, it's a friend, some sort that I've picked up along the way in my life, and it's really a studio experiment, if you want to call it that way. So the straight answer is not at the moment. But if the opportunity will arise and there was a prospect of doing something, then I could think about it.
Okay.
Basically.
Have you ever played live then, Santi? Or are you more like?
Yeah. Well, my last band was 2006, I think, and then I got a bit bored of carrying my guitar to the rehearsal room every day. And I concentrated more on what I've been doing for the last many years, which is mixing, recording, and producing.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
But obviously, when I was a kid, I started in bands and played throughout my whole life in bands.
When did you start playing the guitar then? How old were you?
How old? You don't ask gentlemen for his age, just like that.
I thought that was only women.
I'm 15.
How old were you? I didn't ask you how old you are now. How old were you when you started playing?
13.
Oh,
I started to get interested at 12.
Yeah.
And my sister had a classical guitar that she never played. She got bought because she was going to learn to play, but she never did. And she gave it to me, and I started making a rattle. And then when I was 13, I finally got granted permission to buy a guitar. And I say buy because I painted a couple of houses to get some cheap Japanese knockoff of something. So yeah, I could say the summer of my 13th summer is when I started playing. Yeah.
Your 13th summer would have been when you were 12.
Yeah.
Is that right, Dave?
Possibly.
Yeah, it is. Because you're actually, I was trying to figure this out the other day.
Actually, you got me there, yeah.
Yeah, because that's right there. Because when you were from 0 till 1, you're a year. So the year that would have been your 13th summer, you'd actually be 12.
Okay, well, in that case, it was my 14th summer. I stand corrected.
Yeah, it's just a weird thing I was thinking about.
Maths tonight.
No, it's not maths. It's just it's just something weird I was thinking about actually. So
Why you got into the producing side of it then? Is that something you did kind of like in school or something like that, or college, or is it you just picked up the interest through playing in bands and music?
Actually, it's something that I wanted to do the day I set foot in a recording studio. And I was about 17, 18 years old when I did that. You know, the first demo, you go with your band to record, blah, blah, blah. And that's that, I had like an epiphany at that moment. I went, I really love this. I really like this kind of thing. And when I was in my early 20s, I came to London to study sound engineering in a school of audio engineering. It's called the School of Audio Engineering, SAE, in London. And I got a diploma there. Which it's you don't learn in school. You learn a few things, but not really the trade. But that's what I wanted to do since I was a teenager. Yes, it was always more important to me to be the creative process to be in the studio than in a rehearsal room.
Hmm.
It was more of a second nature to me than being in a band, really.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you touched on something there, because Julian is a teacher and he's a science teacher.
Hmm.
And I'd like to ask Julian, why is the school curriculum so fucking dire? Why don't they teach kids what they want to learn?
I think that changes from. I think that changes from school to school. You mean like the national curriculum? That's not been updated since 2013. Yeah, that's a big question. I think what you would find if you went into schools is that a lot of people teach national curriculum plus, so they teach a lot of extra stuff. So when we teach science, it's like we do the stuff that you would recognize as science, but we do a load of extra stuff like on top of that, because it's got to be into the 21st century and modernized. And, you'd be watching a lot of TED videos and up-to-date stuff and psychology behind all the, things that are going on and the way that things are progressing. So it's obviously going to vary from school to school because you've got your national curriculum backbone, but then different places do different things. A lot of places are really progressive. I mean, if I think about the quality of education that happens in my school compared to what I had, it's infinitely better.
Okay.
It is infinitely better, much better. Maybe I'm biased because I'm a teacher. I'm also in charge of curriculum, so maybe you're asking the wrong side. I'm teaching, so I'm probably going to say that teaching is really good and curriculum is really good. But yeah, I agree. But things just get modernized all the time. Around that sort of stuff. But you'd have to go into each different place. I've been at the same place for a long time. Where I'm from, where my family are from, and I've got that commitment to the town, and and I'm proud to serve the community where I came from. I haven't seen a lot of different schools. My commitment is to the kids where I come from.
Yeah. But I mean, on a general, I'm a bit biased again. I left school not knowing what I wanted to do, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I still don't know what I want to do now. I'm 55 years old.
Yeah.
But if I wanted to be a fireman, for example, and I was in school at 13, and I said to my teacher, "Oh, I want to be a fireman," they wouldn't teach me how to be a fireman. You know what I mean? They would just keep teaching me maths and English.
Yeah.
And you got to find your way when you leave school. Like it's like.
But the thing is now, like when you look at the qualifications, there is a quality. You've still got to do English, maths, and science, the basics. But when you go to college, that course is available. There is a course that prepares you for being an ambulance driver, a fireman, police, like going into those public services. You can now do that at college. So you need your English and maths and your basic skills sort of there, but you can do that at college. That is available. We get students going on to do it as your preparation for movement into that area. A lot of people don't know that this stuff is available. I mean, as you go through.
He's gone. Didn't like my question then, Dave.
You scared him.
I'm done with him now.
Oh, he's coming back.
He's coming back.
Sorry about that.
You didn't like my line of questioning, so you went.
No, I'm happy to talk about your line of question. I was doing today. I was doing some work with kids around some places that they could go, and there's degrees in surfing and everything. Like when you just go on to a modern university curriculum, it was about 20 pages long of all the different things. So the options are a lot better, and there's a lot more stuff that you can do. It is less traditional, but unless you're looking about at those pathways, most people don't realize what the kids don't realize what's on offer. You can do a degree in trainer design these days. There's all sorts out there.
Yeah, but that's like further education. I mean, it has to start in school, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, you got to get the basics.
Yeah, I know you got to get the basics. I understand that, and you still have to do your maths and English, and but. I mean, if you were 14 years old or 15 years old and you said, all right, fuck this, I don't want to learn maths anymore, I want to be a rock star, they're not going to teach you how to be a rock star, are they? They're just going to point the finger at you and tell you to keep your head down, and you know what I mean?
Well, I think it depends. I mean, a lot of places specialise in certain things, and the equipment that they've got in schools is for certain things is a lot better. I mean, I think there'll be, there's some schools that have recording studios in and all sorts of bits and pieces, and different ones in specialise in the arts. So I think it's out there. Is it available for all kids in all schools? Probably not.
Probably not. No. I mean, we never even had computers when I was in school, so.
True.
Yeah, we were still riding dinosaurs around the playground.
We were getting ready to chuck it down a pit.
Yeah, that Thatcher messed all that up, didn't she? Once you close all the pits.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, done you a favour.
That's all I was good for.
No, I think the kids have got to have a standard education, haven't they? And then, because it's kind of like the maturity side of it as well. So when I was in school, kids were leaving after, it's year 11 now, I think, but fifth form, and they were going out and getting apprenticeships. That was kind of like a big thing in Wales. Do you know what I mean? Everybody wanted an apprenticeship, but now companies are taking on apprenticeships much older, and they've already got degrees. So they don't want to take on apprenticeships now. So it's because a lot of it was craft, or and you go into different sort of like apprenticeships. So it has the way things are going is definitely changed, and I think they're expecting people to be a lot more mature, because I was a right idiot when I left school. Do you know what I mean? I didn't know what I wanted to do and didn't have a clue and all that. Do you know what I mean? So I think the way the kids are taught now, they teach them in school more as an adult. Whereas when I was in school, I was still a kid, and they were allowed to clout you and clump you about the place and everything. And then when you left,
that's because you deserved it, Dave.
Or maybe, yeah. And then when you left school, then you sort of like you're finding your way and you're becoming an adult. Whereas now, I think, looking at my two nephews, they're kind of like teaching them like adults, a lot younger, so they're perhaps a bit more, I don't know, maybe they're a bit more, I don't know,
responsible.
Yeah, and savvy and ready for the big world, perhaps. Whereas like when I left school, it's kind of like, oh shit, I better get a job now, or I better do this, better do that. Whereas I think they prepare the kids a lot better now.
Yeah.
Definitely.
We had like work experience when we were like 14 or 15, Do they still do that sort of thing?
Yeah. I mean, obviously it's been more difficult recently. Yeah, but you still do all that sort of stuff.
Okay. So if you wanted to be a rock star, you could get a work experience job with a band.
Well, I mean, when I was at school, I wanted to be Eddie Van Halen, but there was no course for Eddie Van Halen at school.
And that's my point.
Yeah, there is no Eddie Van Halen course. I mean, but I still learned how to untap without having to learn it at school. But I was really disappointed when the options came up and there was no Van Halen 101. But I think the other thing, in terms of kids learning music and doing stuff, there is so much out there now. I mean, I don't know whether me and Santi are from a similar sort of era and grew up in the hair metal, Guns N' Roses, Van Halen, that in the 80s sort of period, when everyone wanted to be a rock star, and play the guitar and have, big hair and that sort of stuff. And you really fought to find, fought to play. So you'd have to, you have guitar magazines. A lot of the rest of it was like you either have to try and get lessons, which, quite expensive, or like try and learn by ear and try and just, get a few bits and pieces now. And I go online and look at the stuff for kids that's available in terms of music. And there's so much stuff. You can go on YouTube and search just about any song and you can learn you can learn stuff really quickly. And then you see, whether they're actual prodigies or whether they've been hothoused by the parents, you can go on and probably see a 6-year-old kid playing Eruption by Van Halen, and it's like when you were 17 and we were all trying to learn these, all these amazing solos. It was really hard, but there's so much stuff out there for kids to progress in that sort of way. However, what that means is the competition in terms of things for music at the moment is incredibly high. I knew the figure at one point. The number of bands that exist is massive. It's absolutely massive.
Yeah.
And it's the scenes where you used to have a scene where you'd be in this music scene or that music scene. That's definitely, what I see, on a day-to-day basis, that seems to have gone. There are pockets of little bits and pieces, but things are very much more, mixed up. A really good example is like when we were at school, all the music kids would wear Converse, and that was your shoes. You know what I mean? That was your shoes. And all the sports kids wore Adidas. Now you'd never ever wear each other's trainers. Do you know what I mean? These are your shoes. There are your shoes. There's your little, your cleat that you're in. But you see today, the kids are they mix and match the like the clothes and the like of what they want, and they do so with the music as well. They don't have those rules and those cliques and those like those little clubs. Now there's two ways looking on it, isn't it, around youth cults. That I'm seeing a few documentaries on it. Some people say we miss it. Where are the teddy boys and the goths and the and the kids are missing out on a great big piece of their life. And then I saw something where some kids were going, but all these things like get little gangs and clubs and have hierarchies, and you get bullied if you're not doing this sort of stuff. And they don't want it. They just say, if I want to listen to hip hop today and Norwegian black metal tomorrow, then I'm going to do it because there are no rules for us. So there's arguments on both sides on whether that's a positive or negative thing. But if you want to be a rock star, the amount of information out there now on the internet is incredible.
Yeah, well, I still fucking can't play the guitar, so
well,
no matter what's out there.
When you were saying how easy it is when you look on the internet, I can see Terry's face is just like
shake my head.
Well,
he's not looking at the right YouTube.
It is way easier now. I mean, I remember, I don't know, Julian, if you remember those guitar learning videos, Steve Lukather and people like that, where they would just get a VHS and there would be these lines going up and down the screen, and I thought it looked like this, and you had to rewind, pause, and when you pause, you couldn't see the finger because it was a scattered image like that. Now you got YouTube, and the guy actually plays it slow for you, and you can reduce the speed yourself. So, it's and the amount of content that it's out there, it's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. I mean, if kids have no excuse these days.
I mean, I'm looking here. Just it happens to be on my shelf. This is my.
You got one of those.
Like this was my Bible as a kid. So this, I don't know what year this was published in. We used to get these books. This is my Steve Vai extravaganza book. I still got it on the shelf, and he'd be just sat trying to work through this piece by piece with the music going backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards.
Steve Vai was particularly difficult because he came out with brand new ways of writing music.
Yeah.
And there's a whole plethora of symbols that no one could understand other than himself, like the mouse sound, things like that, and he would draw this funny line in pentagram.
You'll like this, Santi. It just happened to be sat next to my archive. This is a Guitar World from April 1991. This is how you have to learn. It's falling to bits, but I've still got it on the shelf there. Guitar World from 1991. Amazing.
Put it in a glass case, mate.
Yes, it's falling to bits, as you can see.
Steve Vai on the front.
Yeah.
So I'm very young.
You're a Steve Vai fan.
I got a question then. So where you were just touching on now, we said there's an awful lot of bands out there, an awful lot of music.
Yeah.
What's gonna set you guys apart from what else is out there at the moment?
Good question.
I don't know, and quite frankly, and I don't care. And the reason, and I don't say it in an arrogant way at all. It's just if you actually try to do something different than everybody else, you're gonna hit a wall. Because there's so much out there. There's so much variety. The genres are so mixed, intertwined now that it's difficult to come out with something. Everything's been invented. I mean, it's just, I think at the end of the day, what matters in popular music is how good is your song. What concerns me about putting music out, what I'm more concerned about is obviously there is the production, there's all these things that I've done all my life and I'm very precious about, how good the snare drum sounds, etc. But the really important thing is, what are we telling with that song? If we're writing a lyric and we're telling a story, and you need to use that opportunity. My belief is that you need to use that opportunity to say something worth saying. And Julian and I had long conversations about how the lyrics for this particular track, Little Babylon, had to be, and how carefully we had to craft it, and how carefully we had to say things without offending anyone, but at the same time, we want to complain about something that is offending us. Yeah, and I think that's the beauty, and that's what could make your music different to others, or set it apart from.
And I think on top of that, I think Santi's completely right. I mean, in lots of your classic songs and classic songwriting is that if you write about your situation or a situation that you observe, and particularly if it's on a national level, that then people feel kinship, and that it's actually telling them something about their lives or recognizing something that's present in their lives, and then they like the song for that reason. You know, like when you hear a great song and it feels like the songwriter is talking about your world and your life, and the affirmation of, that's how I feel, that's how it is for me, that is my and those songs are the songs that stick with you for a very long time, because they strike on that, you've got that deep connection. I mean, sometimes it happens in songs where you mishear the lyrics and you think you say one thing that connects your life in it, and it's something else. But I think the key to songwriting is this striking a chord with people of, a situation that they're in, that they say, that's my world, and I agree, and I'm angry, and I disagree. I think that's important in some of the stuff that we've worked on.
Yeah, and it's not just a case of being angry, upset, and complain about things. I mean, you can be happy and express that too. It's not a problem. In my world, in the world that I live today, there are a lot of things that are very wrong, and I think we should all talk about those things. And that's why I like to write about those things. And don't get me wrong, I don't like to write about them because I wish I didn't have to.
Yeah.
I didn't feel compelled to actually have to write about these nonsense, because it's nonsense at the end of the day. I wish it was a better world where I could tell beautiful things. But I don't feel like it. That's right now, because it doesn't feel like it, unfortunately. But it's and then just picking up back on the original question. Yes, there is in the case of the Roadside Bandits, I'm trying to jam together electronic music, my electronic influence, with my good old-fashioned blues influences that I had all my life. And am I trying to do something different? No, I'm not. I'm just trying to do whatever comes out of my head, and that was the initial idea when I started to put this project together. I thought, I'm just going to do whatever the hell I want, and if someone doesn't like it, I don't care. That's where the I don't care comes from.
I have to like it.
Yeah, because music like that, it's authentic, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you're trying to do, become having been through music scenes for a very long period of time, and this changes and that changes. And I mean, I remember I lived in Leeds for a long period of time, and the Strokes burst onto the scene. I can't remember what year that was, but it was probably around 2000. And it was kind of Britpop thing before, and everyone's clothes, and like when you're in a band, every band just became a different band overnight, because this is the thing that you've got. This is the thing that you've got to do now, because this is the thing that labels are signing. And then you get loads of those copy type bands, which aren't authentic. They weren't brought up in New York in the environment that the Strokes were brought up in, and it's not authentic, and they kind of just fall by the wayside. I remember when we were talking about 80s rock, when Guns N' Roses came out, and you saw the record labels scrabble round to find like the other Guns N' Roses and bits and pieces, when really Appetite for Destruction came from the LA scene, and it was the crowning glory of loads of bands that have been before, and actually it killed really all that music because it was so good, nobody could match it. But yeah, when you just make music because you want to make it, on stuff that you're influenced by, and you're not looking at this is hip or this is cool or this will sell, you make something that's authentic. And that's what people want in everything is authenticity. It's a real thing. This person's a real thing. If they're singing about their life and the music that they like and that sort of stuff. I don't know how we can tell as humans the difference between something that's authentic and not authentic, but we seem to be able to.
Yeah. Well, that's typical, because of what you touched on there is you've got all this. You could call it anger if you like, or you've got all this stuff bubbling under the surface, and then that one band comes through. I mean, it happened in the 60s, it happened in the 70s, it happened in the 80s. You've just got that one band that breaks through into that genre, if you like, and creates that monster.
Yeah.
We had it with the Sex Pistols. You had it with Bob
Yeah.
Dylan. You had it with the Beatles.
Yeah.
You had it with Elvis Presley in the 50s. You have that one specific creature that rises to the top, and then, like you said, everything tries to copy it, but the whole scene eventually peters out, and then the next thing starts bubbling under, and the next thing comes up.
I think the main problem for that in this day and age is the trends go very, very quickly.
And that's the trouble with
the longevity of a trend in music is really, really short.
Yeah.
There are bands out there today that are talking about these things and are complaining about these things, that are angry about these things. Idols is a great example. They're a fantastic band. They're an amazing band, but they're not mainstream yet. Will they be? I don't know. Hopefully, but it's everything happens very, very quickly. It gets put there, it's mangled a little bit, the conveyor belt continues, and I don't know. It feels that the attention span of the youth of today is very short. It's kind of, in a way, it feels like it relates to social media. It's very, very quick messaging, and it has to go very quickly. And I think that affects music brewing, music creation.
Well, and that's the problem. It's a click-through society, isn't it? Yeah. Everything is a click-through. You've got Spotify, you've got Apple, whatever music. In the old days, you used to have to go out and physically buy a record and put it on your record player and listen to it.
Yeah.
You didn't want to get up and scratch it or whatever because you had to move the needle because you wanted to listen to the next song. You just sat and listened to the whole side of the album, if you like. But now it's like Spotify. 5 seconds, 10 seconds. If it doesn't grab you, you go to the next song. 5 seconds, 10 seconds. If it doesn't grab you, you go to the next song. Completely different artists, completely different genres. Everything is just click through,
And I think that the situation with that is that I think everybody would agree it's from an older generation when you had vinyl and cassettes, which was the same thing. It was a nuisance to rewind. You might have and you'd spend all your money on it because go down to our price and $5.99 on your record. So you're going to listen to it. It's not just going to go on the shelf. And you might have a record at first that you find difficult, but once you give it a few listens, like there's some depth and stuff into it, and it becomes one of your favorite records. Yeah. You're right. So if it's a clip thing, you've got 5 seconds to impress me. That's going to affect how you compose your song. If that's what you want, if all you want is that click, 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 you're going to say, right, well, it needs to do this in the first few seconds because otherwise you're not going to listen to it. You're not going to have those things where music is expansive and cinematic and all those sort. There are bands doing that, but they are, as Santi said, a lot of the stuff is niche sort of stuff. And what we haven't got the thing where, as Santi said about Idols, an absolutely amazing band and capture our times really well. And Sleaford Mods is another one of those. But it's not like when you mentioned the Sex Pistols, when you have the youth almost as a whole, like get behind it, and have that, this is our thing. This is, and I think that's because lots of options. So you've got gaming systems, you've got Facebook, you've got, all the other things, whereas you may have had a Walkman or a turntable. That was probably it, like a thing to listen to music. So you were that engaged with it that it was everything, and it dominated everything because you didn't have a lot of, you couldn't maybe. I had obviously Pac-Man on the wooden T Atari, but it wasn't the way that it is. It wasn't the way that it is now, where there's so many distractions. I think sometimes for a lot of people, music is almost like a wallpaper. It's like the passion of for some people is it's not there, it's not all, because you've got exposure to so many things. This is just one of the many things that entertain my brain on a day-to-day basis. Not this is the only thing that I've got. This is my $5.99 cassette, and I'm going to listen to it to death because I paid for it and I haven't got really anything else really to do. So I think there's a definite element of that, and it's a shame because everything is so fractured that you don't get music that kind of represents the era. So my favorite era in music is the Summer of Love, where you got Cream and like Psychedelic Stones albums and all that. And I'm a massive fan of the Doors. And someone saying to me, well, could you have the Doors again? And it's like, you can't have that because you can't have that with Vietnam and the Summer of Love and they're bands that represent that era, that time. It's produced from that culture, and that's not here anymore. But what we don't have is something that represents that, you know, where we are now, because there's so many subgenres and so many different bits and pieces. I don't know, maybe the kids would say, you know, if you said there is an artist that represents us, but I'm not sure.
I think there's a lot of a big influence on that lack of having. It's what especially kids have been bombarded for the last decade or so with. They've been trying to embed in their heads that they have to be rich and famous. Fame, wealth, all of those things are more important than the artistry itself. And it has been given more emphasis, you know. And all these super rich pop stars flaunting all the time. You know, they're covering gold, these and that and the other, which is really pathetic, really. But it's what it is, and I think that also has a bit of an influence on what the kids want to do with what they feel and what they want to do. When I say kids loosely, you know, you know what I mean. It's young people, whatever. But you know, we have enough material right now in our hands for a young person to start saying something about it because of the things that are happening in this world. Which are there are a lot of very wrong things happening. They've been happening for quite a number of years now, since probably since 2001, when everything started to go really wrong. And you know, you don't see many coming out saying, excuse me, you know, what are we going to do about this? You know?
Maybe Greta Thunberg should start a band.
Yeah, but it's funny you mention her, but then she comes out and says something and people start slagging her off left, right, and center.
Yeah.
You know, shut up, child. What do you know? Blah, 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 blah. You know, the girl is saying, well, you know, this is my planet. You're going to die in 30 years and I'm going to stay here breathing smoke. You know, but yeah, she should start a punk band. She should have, you know. Maybe she would have been a bit more successable.
Maybe more people would listen to her.
and she's got a lot of them listen to her, which is good. You know, young people are very concerned about climate change, which is great. You know, because you know someone is getting concerned about this. Great, fantastic. Yeah, because it's a bad thing. You know, we burning this planet. You know, literally.
Can we do anything about it? I mean, to me, it just seems like a cyclic change.
Yeah, it's a cyclic change, but the problem is, in my opinion, this is a cyclic change that is man-made.
Okay.
This is not.
Yeah, but you can't say that the Ice Age was man-made, and you know, it's. I think it's a really tough conversation to have, to be honest, about climate change.
It is. It's well, we could be talking forever about it. But do I think that we need more Greta Thunbergs? Yes, we do. We do.
Well, we need more people like the Ramones, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that too. That too.
Yeah. All right. Well, this is funny. I've got a bit of a funny story actually, and it's about COVID. Unfortunately, everything's about COVID nowadays.
Yeah.
But in Berlin, they actually managed to get 700 goats and sheep all lined up, and they were lined up in the shape of a 330-foot syringe, and it was to encourage people to have the vaccination. So they took photographs from above with these 300 million or 700 sheep and goats in this form of a syringe. They enticed them all with bread and stuff, and then it was to encourage vaccinations in Germany. I
know. So I saw that, and someone made a comment about who the hell is going to be able to see that from above. Well, it's a very novel idea.
It is. Well, there's plenty of people with drones in there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, it's a strange story. I just saw it today. So, all right. So we'll stick a couple of songs in the video as well. So, and we'll. Like I said, I'm going to play it on the radio next week.
Great.
On our radio show.
Thank you very much.
Cool.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for joining us, and we shall say goodbye. Goodbye.
All right.
Please.
Thanks very much. Take care.
Yes, thanks.
The TV says the bright without a flashlight or an empty speeding train. I'm on my knees, my feet are tired of running, for it's a long road from the cradle to the grave. And there's no blue blood in the powerhouse. Lights go down at the edge of town. It's just a wasteland now. Light closing down makes no sound. It's just over now. And TV says there is a storm a-coming. Well, in the dark night, well, could there be someone to blame? The kings and queens can't hear the beats of drumming. They're in the high tower, far away from all this pain. And there ain't no love in the powerhouse, no 10 crowns in a dirty town. It's just a wasteland now. 21 years ain't a heavy fine. The kingpin's caught in the county lines. It's just a wasteland now. The TV says to chase the milk and honey. Don't let your eyes see that you're digging your own grave. For chasing broken dreams, it ain't too funny. You see the moth light, it's a burning silver flame. And there's no blue blood in the powerhouse, no free rides in a dying town. It's just a wasteland now. Guillotine blades in the summertime for those that pray to the dollar signs above the wasteland now. Could we know the dice were loaded from the start of the show to make the wasteland